Today's Dharma message will be given by Minister's Assistant Irene Goto.
Good morning. Thank you for being here on a wonderful, cool summer day. We've been so lucky to have these refreshing summer days when so much of the country has been suffering in the heat, much of the world, in fact. So this morning, I'd like to start out with a passage. Please join me in Gassho. The Buddha said to Ananda, he, Bodhisattva Dharmakara, always embraced a heart of compassion and patience for all sentient beings, and was never deceptive or flattering, never slothful. Encouraging them to good acts, he led them to seek pure virtues. For the sake of beings everywhere, he was stalwart and fearless and never retreated. He benefited all the worlds and brought his great vow to perfect completion. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. In slightly little over 2 more weeks, on September 3rd, 2019, His Eminence, the Gomonshu, will officiate Kikyoshiki, or affirmation of Buddha's name ceremony, for 80 participants from this temple. And it will take place here at the Betsuin. And there will also have been a service at the Portland with 20 participants. 8 years ago, I received my Buddhist name, or Hommyo, in Kieshiki, officiated then by Bishop Reverend Koshin Ogui. At that ceremony, there were 8 of us, not 80. So receiving Buddhist Dharma name, or Hommyo, 16 days from now, from Gomonshu-sama, will be an awesome, wonderful event. So, to prepare our minds for that affirmation ceremony, I would like to explain a little bit about the Buddhist Dharma name, or Hommyo, ceremony. The Dharma name, or Hommyo, consists of 3 characters: Shaku, disciple of Shakyamuni Buddha, plus 2 kanji, or Chinese characters. The word Ho-myo is made up of 2 Chinese characters. The first character, Ho, is the character used for the Dharma, one who has awakened to the truth. And the second character, Myo, means name. So quite literally, Hommyo means Dharma name. Receiving a Hommyo indicates that one is determined to live their lives according to the truth, or Dharma, that will lead them and all sentient beings to a life lived in full awareness or enlightenment. In addition, receiving a Hommyo indicates that the person wishes to live his or her life as a student of the Buddha in accordance with the truth Buddha teaches, and sharing this with others in harmony. These are the reasons the person receiving a Hommyo at a Kikyoshiki, or affirmation ceremony, is asked to pledge themselves to the 3 treasures of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Allow me to share with you my Kieshiki. I'd like to relate with you the meaning that I requested my Buddhist name mean or reflect, the name and the Chinese characters I received, what I've learned from receiving my Buddhist name, and my appreciation for the opportunity of receiving my Buddhist name. I think each person's decision to receive a Buddhist name is personal. Each person can request a meaning for their Dharma name, And they can also request the kanji characters that they wish. In looking at the Dharma names given in the past, some participants might represent, or meaning some names would represent hopes for the person in the future. For example, a parent of a 1.5-year-old wished for the Buddhist name Compassionate Sky for the child. A 61-year-old requested the Buddhist name To Reach the Path. Other names perhaps reflect beliefs, such as True Vow, and perhaps another person's Buddhist name might mean Light of Compassion, perhaps for everyone. The meaning I requested for my Buddhist name was patient or patience, because I think of myself as a patient person. Patience, by the way, is one of the 6 paramitas or perfections that we Mahayana Buddhists try to live by, and that was the song that was selected as our opening gatha today. To illustrate a kind of patient endurance I have, I would like to indulge you with a very mundane, typical story about my home life in recent days. It's about using the dishwasher. Not the washing machine, the machine that washes dishes in the kitchen. I get those two machines confused in my mind sometimes. So the dishwashing machine. You might have seen the television commercial where the self-assured child says, "So what does the dishwasher do anyway?" I think her question in that commercial persuaded me to give way to my patient way of washing dishes by hand. You see, I was patient because I don't particularly like washing dishes, but my husband doesn't like washing dishes either. So I washed my dishes patiently, and he put his in the dishwasher. He was trying to be considerate and helpful by not adding his dirty dishes to mine. After years of us each engaging in our own dishwashing habits, I think he finally felt guilty about letting me do my dishes by hand. So he announced a few months ago that we both would put everything in the dishwasher. So being patient, I complied. Now he does the dishes. He runs the dishwasher every night. Now I have found this to be very nice. I like it. It makes my life easier and happier. The dishes are cleaner. I have more time to relax or do other things. So patience on both of our parts paid off after many years of each of us doing the dishes in our own ways. We didn't fight about it, but we didn't discuss it either. In this case, perhaps you might perceive my patience as plain stubbornness or passive aggressiveness. But stubbornness is not looked upon as virtuous, nor is passive aggressiveness. They are not something to be necessarily admired or a good attribute, but patience does seem to be somewhat a good trait. Not always, but usually it's a good attribute. And I think of myself as patient. So on my application for Homyo, I wrote that I wanted the meaning of my Homyo to be patience or patient. When I finally received my Dharma name, it was Shaba. I was disappointed. It sounded like shabby or Baba, which means grandmother. When I looked up patience on my Japanese dictionary app, these are the translations that came up. Gaman, Shimbo, Kikon, Konki, In-nin, Kan-nin, and Patience. Where is Shaba? I finally looked up the kanji character for Shaba and its meaning. I was disappointed again. It actually does mean patience, but the individual characters mean old woman and grandmother, ba-san. Not that there is anything wrong in grandmother or old woman, but I just didn't expect my Buddhist name would mean grandmother or old woman. Both kanji characters, sha and ba, have the radical for woman. Sha is written as a woman under sand, and ba is written woman under waves. It seems that in Japanese, to describe suffering, many kanji have women suffering, like the kanji for cheap, yasui. Woman written under a roof. But then when I mentioned my homyo, Shaba, to Etsu, she said, "Oh, that's a good name." I was really puzzled. What's so good about old woman? But I was somewhat comforted, reassured that Shaba is a good name, because Etsu said so. And Etsu is my Dharma friend. This confusion in my mind about the meaning of my Buddhist name, Shaba, led me to pay more attention to the Dharma. Shaba is also known as Saha, the suffering world. Saha appears 49 times in the collected works of Shinran. One passage says, "Gaining freedom from long kalpas of suffering in this Saha world is above all the benevolence of Shakyamuni, the true teacher. Using various carefully devised, skillful means, he selected the gate of Amida's universal vow and enabled us to enter it." As I gradually absorb Buddhism and find Shaba, or Saha, in the scriptures, this suffering world, this reality, and listen to the teachings of our sensei, I feel happier about my homyo. It still sounds like I'm under the sand and under the waves, but I'm surviving this suffering world. I am patient. I accept my Buddhist name. The kanji meaning made me investigate to seek the truth. What's good about old woman is this: she has lived a long life. She had to be patient. She has given her life to others. She has persevered. I mentioned that patience is one of the 6 paramitas, or one of the 6 paramita. In my story of what does the dishwasher do anyway, the story does not end there. In addition to not liking to wash dishes by hand, I do not like to waste water and harm the environment either. The suffering continues. My husband and I disagree on the amount of water hand washing and machine washing use, especially when the machine is run half empty. The teaching of the 6 paramita remind me that to compromise in this dishwashing issue, I will need to engage the other paramita. I will need to engage courageous energy and wisdom. At the same time, to be generous, moral, and mindful. Together, along with patience, they will help my husband and me find a harmonious result in washing dishes at our house. But we have a house, a dishwasher, and each other, so there is much to be grateful for. After investigating the meaning of my homyo, my Buddhist name, I realized that Shaba is this world as it is, this world of ups and downs, ever-changing and ever interdependent. ever suffering and at the same time ever embracing the beautiful and wonderful. I thank Reverend Castro for recommending such a good Dharma name, and I thank Etsu for deeming it such a good name. I am grateful for Shakyamuni Buddha for giving forth the story of Dharmakara and the name Amida Buddha for infinite wisdom and infinite compassion, and for the name Namo Amida Butsu. In closing, let me again read the passage that I opened with. This time I will change the pronouns. In doing so, I find in the passage an image of grandmother and old woman. Please join me in Gassho. The Buddha said to Ananda, she, Bodhisattva Dharmakara, always embraced a heart of compassion and patience for all sentient beings, and was never deceptive or flattering, never slothful. Encouraging them to good acts, she led them to seek pure virtues. For the sake of beings everywhere, she was stalwart and fearless and never retreated. She benefited all the worlds and brought her great vow to perfect completion. I am happy that my Dharma name is Shaba. I like its meaning, this suffering world, and I like its kanji characters, old woman and grandmother. I feel that receiving my Dharma name was skillful means by Amida Buddha to bring Dharma into clear view for me to see. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to witnessing the 80 of you receiving your Dharma names before Gomon Shu-sama in about 16 days.